Hey again, estate planning, estate planning, estate planning. That's all I think about these days. Trusts. So I get a lot of questions about trusts. I get a lot of comments about trusts. A lot of people who think they know what trusts are. A lot of people who think they know what they do, what they don't do. So just a little tidbit, kind of give you some insight on what the trust is, why it's important, and what it can and can't do for you. So there are myriad trusts out there, but the ones that we deal with are called revocable trusts. They're living trusts. They're created while you're alive so that you can fund them now, set them up to deal with the issues you've created it for, like if you have minor children, if you have children from a previous relationship, if you've got family with special needs, if you have any number of issues that would make having a trust useful. Oddly enough, probably its least useful tool is for probate avoidance, because most everything you put into the trust can be dealt with on its own without having to have a trust. But that's a separate issue. Um, the trust itself. So think of it as a trust is a bucket. We are creating this document that will serve as a bucket. And then you're supposed to put certain assets into that bucket so that um, someone else, if need be, if you become incompetent or otherwise need help managing your assets while you're alive, you can appoint other people, other trustees to manage these assets for your benefit. You've also defined in this bucket, you've got all the terms for who you want things to go to, when you want them to go. If you want certain things after the first spouse passes to just stay here, take care of the spouse that is alive, and then once that spouse passes, then disperse to these kids. You can set it up any number of ways. It doesn't have to be complicated. And again, we're back to the what can Jeff do to make your life easier? And partly to make my life easier because I'm the one who gets the questions and often have a blank stare because, frankly, there's a lot of stuff in there that I couldn't tell you. It's been there forever. It's just, I always say, oh, it's legalese. That's what's there. You can disregard it. So, no more. I provide guides now for every document that you're going to get that explains everything in there, and that includes the trust. So trust, a revocable trust, because it's revocable, meaning you can create it and you can revoke it, you can amend it, you can change it, you have absolute control over it. Because of that, it is not a creditor protection tool. It does not provide for creditor protection. The law, the IRS considers anything that you put in there in the name of the trust to be owned as if it was still in your personal name. So it's not a tool for asset protection. A lot of people believe that. That's a different type of trust. It's called an irrevocable trust. And the reason those provide asset protection is because you take title and you put it into, you create a new entity. An irrevocable trust is a separate entity. It's still a bucket, but you have zero control over it for the most part. You appoint somebody else to manage it, to make decisions. You can't reach in and get anything. You can be given stuff, but it's very limited. So that's what creates an opportunity for creditor protection. Different type of estate planning, different level of sophistication and expense. So our primary focus is on revocable trust because those are the most useful for the people that we work with. Um, so anyway, trust doesn't have to be daunting. It doesn't have to be confusing. It doesn't have to be overwhelming, and you don't have to think, "Oh my gosh, I need a trust. It's gonna, you know, um, what does this mean? During my lifetime, I can request disbursements of income and principal to care for my health, education, maintenance, and support." What does that mean? Who am I calling? Well, we explain all that. It breaks it down, makes it very simple, and when you're done, you'll understand that it's just a very transparent process. There is, in reality, in practical terms, there's no difference in how you manage your assets and how you take care of things. It's primarily there to give you the flexibility to decide how and when you want to disperse your assets to your heirs. It allows for the opportunity to have someone else step in and help you manage. So it's a flexible tool. It's not necessary or right for everybody, but um, it's a good thing to have in your pocket um, in certain circumstances. So if you have other questions, if you have a specific scenario you want to run by me to see if a trust makes sense, you know where to find me. Thanks.